Hello, writing students. This is a quick lesson on brainstorming, part of the pre-writing process you should do when you're doing extensive writing, even if you're doing paragraphs or tests. So we're going to talk about what brainstorming is and pre-writing, and then we'll also look at how to organize those brainstorms. First, let's look at the steps of process of writing. First, choose your topic. Pick a topic you may have some interest in. Don't try to impress your teacher. It's best to just pick something that you know you can write something about, or maybe have some interest in. It'll make, if you have to do research, doing it much more efficiently because you're interested in it. But most writing teachers will give you some choice, so choose things you know about, ideas you have, stories you can tell, things you can describe. 2, brainstorm that list of ideas. And when we say a list, we don't mean sentences. We mean just a few words, and you just make a quick item list. It'll help you generate ideas to write about. You can also use mapping technique or free writing, and we'll look at those briefly. Organize your ideas. So now you have a list. What do? So begin to look at your list. This is where you can start taking some things out, but you'll look at the common links and organize. And we're not talking outlining here for paragraphs, but you might do a formal outline if you're doing an essay. Then write your first draft. A lot of people want to start with the topic and end with their final draft and nothing in between. That's why we're looking at these pre-steps, because it'll really help you be efficient rather than writing draft after draft and throwing them in the trash. You'll have that list you can look at, and you can work on that as you write complete sentences. Then once you're done with your draft or drafts, you might have more than one. When you feel sort of satisfied, then proofread and edit your draft. Look for all those grammatical mistakes, those spelling mistakes, and correct all you find. Now that's what you would do if you're handwriting it. If you do use a computer, you may use a spell checker or grammar checker, but just be aware, computers aren't very smart, and they may give you some stupid or wrong suggestions. Then finally, write your final draft. And I used a picture of an old-fashioned typewriter because that's what I used to use. But you'll type it up, especially if you're doing college work, essay work. You want to type it up. And it should be polished and complete so that it looks its best. And finally, do one last proofread. Even when you're typing up, you may leave out some words. Maybe you'll make some changes while you're typing that final draft, and you want to do one more check to make sure things are correct. Now, most students end up losing points on their errors, grammatical writing errors. So we're going to look at brainstorming, which is one of the pre-writing activities. And why would you do this? And whether you use brainstorming, free writing, mapping, there's a reason for doing this. You're gathering information, collecting your thoughts. You're going to weed out eventually those unnecessary items so they don't end up in your writing. And it'll help you see a bigger picture when you do the list. So you're going to gather information, and gathering information, again, will keep you from wasting time. It'll tap into things you do know, and that'll give you more ideas to work with. And finally, again, gathering your thoughts. Take those ideas, putting them on paper is really better than trying to just keep it all in your head. Then you're going to organize that into smaller groups to keep like items together. And then you're going to weed out unnecessary information. So you may write some things down on your brainstorm that you say, well, maybe I really shouldn't write about that. So it's not relevant. You don't want to put any irrelevant ideas in your paragraphs or essays. And so you're going to get rid of that right away. So you don't have to wait and spend time writing it and then saying, oh, I need to get rid of that. And that big picture, what is everything you know? And you can organize them into bigger chunks. And the larger chunks will give you an idea for doing a topic sentence, which I'll do in a different lesson. So there are other types of pre-writing. I mentioned it. Free writing, which is basically sitting down and sort of writing a paragraph. You're just writing sentence style, listing, um, and that can work. Some people prefer rather than a list. I think lists are just a little shorter and quicker to do. You can do clustering and mapping, where you're drawing like flow charts or connective circles. That requires you to be a little more organized. Some people like that. And then journaling, if you keep journals or blogging nowadays, that kind of writing will actually generate ideas that you can use to write more formal things. So how do you use a brainstorm? First, list down everything you can think of. So just make a list. Take about 5 minutes to do this activity. That's usually plenty for, especially if you're just doing a paragraph. And just write down everything that comes in your head. You might be thinking dogs, but you might write a few things about cats. That's okay. Just keep writing your list to get a bunch of things down. And don't write any sentences, don't write any paragraphs. This is just a list. And another step, you don't edit or weed out as you go. People slow down and get stuck because they're trying to edit and weed as they go. Just write everything down that comes out of your head into the paper or on the computer, and then you can go back and take things off. So here's my topic about dogs. And so I spent about 5 minutes thinking and making this list. And it's got a lot of different things. It goes in a lot of directions, and that's what brainstorms do. A storm is very messy. It's just everywhere. But I did try to stay on the topic of dogs. So you can see I have lots and lots of information, and it goes in all sorts of directions, everything from how dogs work with us to how we use them as pets, and then it has even some random things on it. So now I'm going to organize that into common ideas or chunks or qualities in this case, because this is a descriptive type writing. And I came up with, I'm going to use play with them, emotional ties, pet them, talk to them, friends. Those all are things that organize around the idea of pets being a friend or dogs being your friend. So here we go, and this is my narrowed down list, and I have 5 items, plenty for a paragraph. I could expand it a little more for essays. Probably be a fairly brief essay. I could go back to that larger brainstorm and glean out an essay if I wanted to. So plenty of time, like I said, plenty of information. I'm going to span these ideas into sentences and maybe some examples. So I'm going to create a topic sentence because I decided on the idea. So dogs was my original topic. So I have that. So dogs, the original topic. My list sort of went around the idea of friend. So I'm going to incorporate that into my topic sentence. And again, I'll talk more about topic sentences in a bit. But they are man's best friend. So I've got dogs are man's best friend. Again, you don't want to just put dogs at the top of your page and write about it without any topic sentences, or if you're writing an essay, a thesis. There are potential other topics. I've marked these here. Herd sheep, help the blind, use in television, hunting, earthquakes, police use. Those are all working dogs. And so I could have gone in that direction if I felt like that would be more comfortable or maybe more formal. It just depends on what you think your teacher wants you to do. So here I have, again, my original topic, dogs. And then I decided they're going to help mankind. That's the working part. And these would be the list items that I use for my paragraph. So watch out for the irrelevant ideas. Remember, you're going to weed those out after you're done. And so these items, while they relate to dogs, they're not items I could either incorporate in what I have or have enough to write anything about one of those. So I just took these out. These would be eliminated. They don't fit any category. So So you wouldn't want to use these in your paragraph, whether you did the friends or the working dog. So as I promised, I show you a little more about clustering or mapping. A lot of people like to use this because it's a little more organized and their brains think that way, and that's fine. You draw a central circle and and I'll show you this, you put your central topic here, and then you start branching off into different things that you want to write about or think about writing, and it organizes as you go. That's what makes it really different. So here's mine on dogs. And so you can see that I have dogs in the middle, and so you can just put dogs in your central circle here, right there, and see that. And then I put use and types and care. And so then I start talking about things that have to do with types. So I put terrier, Rottweiler. I don't know that much about types, so I just put these in. I probably wouldn't end up using that because it's not something I feel that comfortable. I did feel comfortable putting things that were useful, that dogs are used for, so I have fire dogs and dogs that lead the blind and police and so forth. And then I also have care, and that's something, again, I might feel comfortable doing, and I could draw some offshoots here to talk about care. But the minute you start adding stuff, like if I think about fire and suddenly I want to add how dogs are used in firefighting, I would have to put lines out and put more circles. So I would have a circle here about fire, maybe another one about fire here, and so forth. But each time you do a branch, you think about that item, you have to add another circle. All right, so but that's clustering. Some people really like it and think it's helpful, and if you want to use that in your writing, you could try that. It does take a little more time, and it does force you to organize as you go, which some people might like. So I recommend you pick a topic and try brainstorming. It'll help you practice this skill and get you ready for more pre-writing. So in conclusion, just remember when you're doing a brainstorm, you're thinking of everything you have that you can think about for that topic, again, about 5 minutes. You're going to make a list, no sentences, no paragraphs, just a list, and then edit those into groups if you have lots. You could check them off or put X's by some and checks by others. You could do an A group and a B group. But in any case, all of this together is called a brainstorm, and it's something you do before you jump into writing. So good luck with this as you try this out. Thank you for watching. Bye.